What you are about to hear is a raw and unfiltered coaching conversation I have with a woman who has come to me, agreeing to share her story anonymously to get my coaching advice and guidance on her current dating or relationship issue. Be prepared to hear what works with men and what doesn't, and what you can do yourself to get all the love, connection, and commitment you desire and deserve in your romantic life.
I'm so thankful for your advice. I love how intelligent and eloquent you are and still have love.
And given me some great guidance and direction, and now it's up to me to execute it.
I feel a lot better just working through it. I thank you so much.
I feel like you already are instilling more confidence in me that this is possible.
Sick of sacrificing or settling in your romantic life? Welcome to Make Him Wonder with Coach Paula Grooms, where women struggling in real relationships ask the expert. Unscripted, unfiltered, understandable coaching conversations to help passionate women succeed in love.
My guest today is 54-year-old Kit, who began dating 2.5 years ago after losing her husband. Kit believes she made a real connection with 53-year-old Shaun, who she met in high school. But Shaun has recently pulled away, giving Kit mixed messages. Kit is blaming herself and says she can't stop feeling anxious and hurt. Kit wants to know if I feel there is hope with Shaun or if she should just move on. Welcome, Kit.
Hi there.
So tell me, how long were you married?
I was actually only married a short time. My husband unfortunately passed of COVID. We were only married 15 months. We were together 4 years. He was great guy, and it was a real shock when he had passed.
I am so sorry to hear that.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So when did you meet Shaun? Again, I should say, because I know you said that you met him in high school.
Right. Actually, so we've been friends on Facebook for years. He was married. He's been divorced. I think it's been about the last 4 years. And we just recently kind of reconnected in a more personal way. He reached out to me out of the blue. So it was 3 months ago.
And how did it come about? How did it happen?
Yes, actually, like we had been in touch on Facebook. It was very casual before. Like I said, he had previously been married, but he reached out to me and messaged me, actually sent me a video message, and then we just started chatting and connected that way and ended up going on a coffee date, which was a really great date, and went from there.
How long had he been divorced?
I believe it's been 4 years.
And what did he tell you about that divorce and why?
He told me that she was basically had cheated on him several times. He had forgiven her, at least I believe, twice, and then the very last time he was done and just decided that it was just time to let it go. They were actually married for 21 years, so a long time.
After that first date, what did the two of you do and or decide? How did it progress to a relationship?
We just continued talking. We went out on a couple more dates, and then I actually, about a month into the relationship, I went on a vacation that I had pre-planned. We continued to stay in touch on that vacation. It was about 2 weeks in, and then we talked at least twice a day. And then as I would say about the last month or so is when it started. I felt easing back. I do have to say he did warn me that he was going to get busy. However, I think for myself, I have a hard time believing if you truly care that you're that busy for someone. So we went, I'd say about 3 weeks without seeing each other. However, we did talk and we FaceTimed, but it just felt like there would be days in between where I didn't hear from him at all, and that made me feel anxious. I guess I'm not used to that, so I'm trying to kind of get the feel back in of what it's like to date or balance, so that's where I'm kind of uneasy about everything.
I see. And describe for me, if you would, him being busy. In other words, his job and what his life entails, whereby you couldn't be seeing each other at least once in that 3-week span?
So he is a coach. He works during the day and at a school, and then he coaches in the evening. So his evenings are during the week are gone. Actually, from what I've seen, he trains on the side, so he works sometimes 6-7 days a week, which it was hard for me to get used to that schedule, but I have tried to be understanding. But my issue was like feeling like if somebody really does care, then they make that time somehow. And I'm willing to, have let him know I support his job. I'm willing to be flexible, but I wasn't sure, and I'm still not sure where he's at with me and if I'm a priority, because I feel like the coaching is like more of a priority than a relationship, and we haven't had that conversation. And I think that's what makes me uneasy, is maybe the fear of the unknown of where it's going, because I do really care about him a lot. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I think you've identified a lot of things here that we need to dive into. Immediately it comes to my mind that perhaps in his marriage, his ex-wife had the same feelings and had an affair or different affairs, I'm not sure if you said one or several, because of his either workaholism or choice to make the work over and above the natural priority that it does in any man's life.
I did actually have that thought. I haven't had that discussion with him, but you read my mind on that one. I actually wondered the same thing. I felt it doesn't condone necessarily cheating, but my thought was, well, maybe she was not getting the attention that she needed. That was my thought. And he's a very popular guy. He's been involved in NFL, that kind of thing, so he has a lot on his plate. I get that, but I'm not sure how much he prioritizes a relationship.
Has the relationship become physical?
Yes.
Was there anything at the time talked about or said about it?
Do you mean before or after?
Right. Both.
In the beginning, there was a lot of flirting, and I feel it, for me, on my side, I felt like it was a little slow getting to the physical, and I was trying to be patient with that. And then when it got physical, it was very physical. And actually, it's been about a month since that happened, and we just recently did have a conversation about it. It was actually a really good conversation. He said, guys, think about this stuff too. Did you like this or that? Or you didn't say anything. And I kind of just said, well, I like the man to take the lead. It's not necessarily something I'm going to talk about, but I thought you could tell that it felt good. So that was kind of where we left that at. And it made me feel a little bit better, because that made me think, okay, well, he thought about it. And I told him I liked all of it. To me, it was great. Like, I enjoyed his kissing, like his touch. Like, to me, it felt very intimate. But what happened after is I would have thought he would have talked about it or wanted more. We kind of flirted a little bit after, but then he didn't really talk about it. And just until recently, though, is when he mentioned, just recently we finally had a conversation about the intimacy. And so prior to that, he had not talked about it. And I thought, comparing to other relationships that I've been in, I thought he would have wanted to connect again faster. I'm saying in person faster, but he didn't. It felt a little delayed to me. I think, again, that's why I was feeling anxious. And that intimacy that we did have was like probably almost a month ago. And just very recently did he bring it up and did say he enjoyed it. Yes, and vice versa.
The 3 weeks that you were only in touch by phone and you didn't see each other, was this right after you were first intimate, or had you seen each other a couple of times and been intimate before that?
It was right after we were intimate, so that gave me the feeling of not really sure where I stood with him. And then it kind of felt like conversations and the texting were like getting to be a little bit less and less. And so that's kind of why I was starting to feel like, was he pulling away because of that, or just is he really busy? So I was just feeling very confused.
Mm-hmm. The good news here is that he wanted to be in touch with you and talk to you, it sounds, very regularly, despite not seeing you and having sex.
Yes, and I did feel that too. I've truly tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. One thing I can say so far, except for one time, he's been very consistent with his word, very, very true to his word. I can give him that. It was just the mixed feelings that I was getting, like the mixed kind of signals, I guess you could say, I was getting from him.
So I'm trying to decipher what is actually a mixed message or simply you having a belief that you're going to be left, you're not wanted, things don't work out for you. I mean, you've had a very traumatic thing happen to you with your husband passing.
Yes.
Yeah. That trauma, it's only been 2.5 years. I'm sure that was completely unexpected.
Yes, it was very traumatic for sure.
Yes, and there's likely other things in your life prior to that of loss, even if they're what I call micro losses, past relationship issues, prior to your husband most recently passing in the 4 years you had with him. Had you been married before?
No, he was my first marriage. I do have a daughter. She's 25 years old. I never married her dad. However, we were in a very volatile relationship off and on for probably about 10 years prior to that. Finally really got away from him when she was 18 years old. That was prior to my marriage, that was I would say the only relationship I had had for a long time prior to having a really great relationship with my husband.
Mm-hmm. There can even be with a loss like you sustained with the passing of your most recent husband, of here I finally have something committed, wonderful, and a good relationship, and then I lose it.
Yes, that's exactly. I'm definitely still healing from it, Paula, but that is exactly how I felt. I felt extremely ripped off.
Yes, I can totally understand that. And again, I'm so sorry about it. The good news is that you like Shaun.
Yeah.
And I'm not hearing terrible things here. It's how you're going to look at it and how you're going to handle yourself and your feelings associated with it that could have it going the distance or not.
Okay. I do see myself as I overthink everything. And to give him the benefit of the doubt, like I said, except for one time, and I think it probably was not on purpose, he's been consistent. I don't feel that he's lied to me. And I think I'm a non-confrontational person, so I think I'm probably afraid to share certain feelings with him. I've tried to take it slow because I felt like that was his way. He's kind of slow, I feel like, but I definitely feel that I overanalyze everything. I take it real personal if I don't hear from him. But again, like I had mentioned before, he did warn me that this was his busy season. So I think that's kind of where I'm at, feeling like, are you that busy, or are you just trying not to hurt my feelings? That's the thoughts that go in my head. But again, he still, calls and texts. Is just less frequent.
Okay, so it's going to be, as I said, what you do with you that is going to make or break this. Because if it gets to a place where he feels that he cannot give you what makes you happy, he won't want to be in it. It will deter him. It will lessen his desire. If you've heard me here, you watch me on YouTube, Instagram, what have you, I talk about the two things that are a must for any man to stay in a relationship and commit to one. And it's under two headings. And the headings are safety and happiness. And here's how it works. Safety has two things under its heading, and those two things are the man feeling safe that you are in the right category for a relationship. And that's under Freud's Madonna-whore dichotomy. You've likely heard me talk about that. That's Freud's male-brained concept, and very, very true. And it sounds like you've hit the mark on that, meaning he believes you are a woman for a relationship, not just to have fun with. And why I say that is because he's known you for a while, long time actually, knows of you. If you were in that category from high school, and I'm just making an assumption here, but you sound like a relationship kind of gal to me. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely.
And it sounds like you dated for quite a while before you got physical, like a month or two.
Yes.
So you hit the mark on that. Fantastic. We got that one settled, done, great. The second, under the safety heading, is the man feels safe from your emotions that he can't do anything about, can't handle, drama, chaos, emotional outbursts. It's a whole huge, ball in that sense. And from what I'm hearing, he feels safe so far.
That makes me feel good because I do feel he seems I feel guarded. I think he's real protective of his family. I do feel that he trusts me. I don't think he would have told me, some of the details about his divorce. He knows about my loss. So I feel that we both have confided in each other some personal things. I've totally tried to respect and show him respect for all of those things. And I feel he has definitely shown me that respect as well.
Yes. The other heading is happiness. And under this heading, the man must feel that he and the relationship make you happy. So far, so good. But we have to be very careful going forward. Because if he feels that he cannot give you enough time, because I'm going to really go out on a limb here and say that he has dealt with this a lot. Meaning, in the marriage, I can imagine it was an issue.
I think so, too. Like I said, I hadn't had that exact conversation with him, but that was my gut feeling, that because this whole football career that he has is huge, and I know it's a huge passion in his life, so I have a feeling that was a huge part of the issue of maybe being, no pun intended, but on the sidelines.
So you have to be very careful. And there cannot be a discussion about it now or in the near future. He's likely told you everything you need to know. It's his busy season, and he just cannot at this time. Until when?
He kind of jokingly, but he said until football season is over, that it's just part of the nature of the business. He's been in this business for 30 years, so... Yeah, and I'm okay with supporting that. I let him know. Let me know how to support you. He hasn't really said. And I feel like I'm a very non-confrontational person, so I feel like sometimes I come off in my personality as passive-aggressive. So I've worked really hard not to be that way. So I've tried to be very supportive with his time, with his schedule. I've tried to be, let him know, hey, I'm flexible. And previously, my husband was a truck driver, so there were times when I didn't see him for 4 weeks at a time, and it actually made us closer. During that time, we never fought. We just had an understanding. And so I'm totally respectful of that. I don't know if he quite sees me that way, or maybe that's his fear. I'm not sure. We haven't had deep conversations about it. I think that makes me feel a little anxious too.
And it's your anxiety that must be quelled by you and not put on him in any way. And this is where the work needs to be done. And it needs to be done for you on a subconscious level, especially in light of the trauma that you have suffered recently, like in the last 5 years.
Yes.
Very, very important to do that work. Because if not, your anxiety will leak out and he will know it. It won't be just what you say. It'll be the energy.
And I think that's my fear. I think that's my fear. I think you nailed it all because I want to give off that good positive attitude and energy, and I feel very connected to him. Like I said, I haven't felt that way in a long time since my husband. So I think that's why I'm maybe fearful of losing the connection. Like you said. I think what I was saying is that I think I'm trying to be, we haven't had, like I said, a deep conversation. I don't want him to feel my anxiety. I feel very connected to him, and I don't want to lose that connection.
And you don't have to at all. I'm going to pose an interesting question to you that I think will elucidate things for you and open you up to a general freer feeling about it and help you see into the future a bit. I'm going to do that in a moment. I trust you're enjoying Make Him Wonder and that you're getting a lot of helpful information for the life of love you desire and deserve. So if you're not part of the 80/20 Wonder Club yet, you need to be, because now Make Him Wonder is exclusive, a members-only club to listen to every episode, past, present, and future, in full, all ad-free. The 80/20 Wonder Club is a Make Him Wonder membership that gives you all of seasons 1, 2, and 3 in a categorized list by age and relationship status, and a multimedia library of my content, including my book, Relationship Evals, and my Making Magic with Men Mindset Manual, a weekly action step you can focus on to attract and keep the man of your dreams and have him committing to you completely in the coming months. Make this the moment you start living as an 80/20 Wonder Woman, because love, like life, is best lived in 80/20. When you do 80% of what works with men, the 20% you don't won't much matter. Join the 80/20 Wonder Club by going to the 8020wonder.club. Don't miss out. Go now to the 8020wonder.club. You and your man will be glad you did. So, Kit, I'm going to ask you a question that I think will be very, very helpful to open you up. If I had a crystal ball in front of me and you knew that were true, and I said, oh my gosh, I see you, it looks like, it's right after the Super Bowl, and you're spending a lot of time together, and you're so connected, and everything's going well, and oh my goodness, there I see you, must be years later, and you're married now, and oh my goodness, there you are at, it looks like some kind of baby shower, maybe that's his children, and oh, you're the cutest little old couple, and there's grandkids around, and you're living in this beautiful environment, the two of you, and looks like you live happily ever after. If you knew that that crystal ball was real, and you weren't going to see much of him during football season, meaning August through February, but you would have holidays together, sometimes here and there, how would you feel about it now in terms of your anxiety level? Where would your anxiety level be?
I would feel relieved. I would be happy. You described exactly something that I would want for the future. I would feel completely relieved.
And that's where we need to go with this in your mind, and you need to manifest this happening for you. Because when you do it this way, and you stay in the knowing, live in the state of having it, and your words be there and supportive during his football season, how could he not want that life with you?
I love that. I'm totally willing to do that for him. I don't know that he knows that yet, or that he sees that yet, and maybe because he has not previously experienced that. But I'm totally supportive. I'm a football person. I can see that. I would love that.
You hit on two things that are really important here. One, he's not experienced it before. He needs to. He needs to know it's a possibility.
I get that feeling the more that I'm hearing you speak and help me work through this. I get that feeling that he did not have that experience in his marriage. And
to use the sports metaphor, he needs to feel you're on his team.
Yes.
You need to be the star player on his team.
I love that.
And you can do this with work on you and your subconscious programming. For most of us, it is this, and we have anxiety to some extent. It is a natural, normal human thing to begin with, but it can be exacerbated by certain programming. It's called, in psychology, object constancy. And what it means is that when we're babies, we need, and I'm going down to the simplest level, but we get our feeling of security, stability, all of it through knowing that our caregivers, mom and dad most typically, are there and not going to be taken away from us. And for all of us, the human condition is to one degree or another, having been alive and born in the last 100 years, we don't have it in the way that it would be best for us, certainly not in our modern society. It is my opinion that the only people who get it now in a way that's best for us as humans are tribal people, because the baby is born in a tribe and the mother has that baby at her hip at all times, and most of the time the father is there or other adults there. It's why we have the saying, it takes a village. But in our modern world, raising children is not simple or easy. Mom and dad have to work, and there are little micro scars on our psyche. And certainly our programming is such that we get anxious when we don't have that person in our sight and awareness. So part of it's normal and natural, but you can work with your mind and your conscious mind to create the environment that you want. Because you see, if you knew that image I see in the crystal ball is real, you would not have that anxiety. Correct?
Correct. Makes sense.
So we need to make it in your conscious life a reality, because there is nothing to say that absolutely cannot be a reality. Yes, it can be, because if you give him that support, that security that he is lacking, that you're not going to go anywhere simply because of his vocation, how secure do you make him? Very secure.
That makes total sense.
So it's what you do from here that will help you get to this place of feeling safe, secure, and living in the state of having all that you desire and certainly deserve. And that is done in a number of ways. I work with it in women in my programs via manifestation, self-concept work, self-talk, working with the subconscious, and the best time to work with that subconscious is right before we fall asleep, and then behaving our way with the man in our life to exude the feeling of contentment, safety, security, no anxiety, a wonderful, loving experience. And that can be a challenge with a case such as yours, but it can also be so much easier and certainly done when you live in a state of knowing and you want to think about it as making hay while the sun shines. So, for example, you said your husband was a truck driver and gone for 4 weeks. What that connotes to me is that you can be apart when you're feeling secure and knowing, and you know better than anyone that when you come together again, it makes it all the sweeter.
Yes, absolutely.
You've shown an ability to sustain the time apart. If you do this work on you, all can fall into place with him. If he believes that intrinsically he as a person makes you happy, and your age is here, there's going to be a time of retirement and you're going to have lots of time with him, right?
Right.
So what questions do you have for me?
Gosh, I feel like you just, everything that you said, I feel actually a lot better just working through it. I think what I had mentioned, that I'm very non-confrontational. I think I've been trying to just go with the flow with him. I haven't asked him, do you want a relationship? Do you want to be exclusive? I haven't touched any of those things. The only thing that we did say, and we talked about probably about 2 months ago was I told him, I said, I think you can tell the way I feel about you because I had pretty much mentioned, I'm attracted to him and all those things. But I said, I'm not sure how you're feeling. And what he did say was, what do you think? Like, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. That was kind of his answer. But I don't know if it's best to just continue to be supportive, be like a friend. I do feel we're friends as well, which is good, and just see where it goes. Do I just try to keep this lighthearted and not pinpoint him with questions? Does that make sense? I don't want to since he did tell me this is a crazy time for him, I don't want to overwhelm him. So I think unless I just ask him, how do I support you during this time, during this season? I'm not sure. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say?
Well, you don't have to really do anything in terms of talking to him about it. You have to... Wondering what I'm going to tell Kit she needs to do to inspire Shaun to commit? In the rest of this episode, I outline for Kit the 2 things she needs to focus on to have Shaun feeling safe, secure, and on the same page, wanting the same thing that she does. And because I want you to get the result you desire in your romantic life, I invite you to check out the 80-20 Wonder Club, where you can hear the rest of this coaching conversation with Kit and implement a similar approach with your Mr. Right. The 80-20 Wonder Club is an exclusive membership-only club of the Make Him Wonder podcast, where you'll get over 150 ad-free episodes categorized by age and relationship status, plus all new episodes the moment they're formatted and ready to be aired. Unfiltered coaching conversations like this one, with all my advice and principles to have you succeeding in your romantic life. Discover what the club has to offer in addition to the Make Him Wonder episodes as well. The 80-20 Wonder Club now includes my Making Magic with Men Mindset Manual, specific mindset or mechanics of men videos for you to focus on each and every week. It alone is valued at over $500 and is all yours as a member. Join monthly and cancel at any time, or save by committing to a 6 or 12-month membership. And not only will you save by committing to more, you'll receive a full coaching intensive experience where you'll be talking to me in a conversation like you just heard with Kit. You choose the date, anytime during your 12 months, and I'll be answering all your questions on getting what you desire and deserve in your love life. Check it out at the8020wonder.club and join us, as that is the only way you'll be able to hear what I tell Kit she needs to do to start seeing the changes in Shaun and realize her dream relationship of which she is so deserving. Don't miss out on how to make your man wonder in the right way to have those results in your relationship, or how to start dating in a way that guides a potential Mr. Right to do right by you. Go now to the 8020wonder.club. That's the 8020wonder.club. You and your love will be glad you did.